Hello, everyone out there. Hopefully, I'm coming through okay. My name is Puck Fernston. I'm a consultant for Pearson's Test of English Academic, the PTE Academic test. It's a great test to help you get to the United States. Uh, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how PT Academic can help support your application to American universities. As you may know, international students are required to take an English language test, an approved English language test, and PT Academic is one of the big three tests that are out there, the others being the TOEFL test and the IELTS test. And I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about why PT Academic might be a good option for you, as well as give you a little bit of insight into what's on the test and maybe even a couple of tips to help you when you go take the test. So why don't we get started? You may see that there's a question box. Feel free to throw any questions up there as we go along. Uh, as I mentioned, PT Academic is the leading computer-based academic English language test. It was designed specifically for international students looking to come to English-speaking universities, and it provides a truly authentic measure of listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. So all the skills you'll need when you get into an American classroom. The test was created with modern test design, and it uses technology, patented proprietary technology that really can make the test-taking experience a little bit more enjoyable for you. It provides what we think is some benefits for the test taker, and we'll go over some of those benefits on the next slide. So, a quick overview of the test. And how it is a little bit different is one, we think it provides the most accurate objective scoring. It uses an objective automated scoring system that ensures that no matter where you're taking the test, you're going to get a fair assessment of your English language ability. The test also is a shorter test than you may be used to. It's a 3-hour test. It's a single 3-hour sitting, and we return results very quickly within 5 business days, oftentimes much faster than that. So you can actually take the test very quickly and get your results back very quickly. We couple that with unlimited score reports. And so once you take the test, those results are yours, and you can send them to as many institutions as you'd like without additional charges or no other charges at all. We have test dates all around the world in all the major countries and all major markets, and your scores will be accepted throughout the English-speaking world. So everywhere in Australia and throughout the UK and in the USA, over 1,600 different options for you. Some of the locations of the test centers, they're throughout Asia and the Middle East, in Africa, South America, throughout the United States and Europe. If you go to pearsonpte.com/testme, that's the link you see there at the bottom, you'll be able to find all of the different locations for PT Academic test centers, as well as the fee, so how much it costs to take PT Academic in your country. The price of the test does vary depending on where you are. And all of it's listed there, pearsonpte.com/testme. Also there, we do offer live dates. And so if you're looking for a date and you don't see one, we're able to offer dates when you need them. Just to give you a little bit more insight into some of the testing, if you happen to be, for example, in China, we do have test centers throughout China. If you're unable to find a test, we can create test dates and times on demand for you. So it's really convenient for you to quickly schedule your test and get those results back wherever you happen to be. The process itself is a pretty simple process. Before the test, you should make sure that you prepare, and I'll show you all of the preparation materials that we have available for you. Some of them are for free, some of them are for a fee, but you can register for the test online or via phone. you'd again go to pearsonpte.com/testme to find that information. You could book your test online or by phone, and then you would go and practice and prepare, which is, again, the most important thing. Make sure you familiarize yourself with the test. And then on test day, all you need to do is bring your passport. That's it. Bring yourself and your passport and your prepared mind, and that's all you need at the test center. We'll take your picture, and we'll make sure that you're checked in once you're there. You'll take your test in 3 hours or less, and then you'll log back into your account the next day or within 5 days, and your score will be sitting there waiting for you. You'll see your scores online, and after you view your scores, that's when you decide who you want to send your scores to. So you don't need to send your scores before knowing what your scores are. You can see your scores and then decide, do I want to send these out or not, or do I want to take the test again? That'll be your option, and it's all done online. There are no paper scores. And so the same account that you'll log into to schedule your test will be the same account that you'll log into to get your results. At the test center, as I mentioned, you're just bringing your passport. What you'll experience at the test center, these are Pearson professional centers or select centers, but the experience will be the same for you no matter where you are. You go to the test center, you have your passport, we'll take a palm vein scan. Palm vein scans are quick and non-invasive and very easy. We'll take a digital signature, your digital photo, and it'll be very quick. And then you'll be sitting down taking your test. You can be confident that you're going to get a different test than somebody else. And it'll help to ensure that there isn't cheating in the room. We have done a lot to make sure that when you submit your score, you can trust that score, your universities can trust that score, and the people that are evaluating your English language test score, they know that it's you who's submitting the score. This process that we have is as good as it gets, and it's really quite easy for you, and it ensures that your score will be trusted. So that's what the PTE Academic score report looks like. That's the picture that we took of that young man at the test center. We also have on there his birth date, whether or not he's taken the test before, a yes or no, not how many times he's taken it, just whether or not you've taken it before. And then there is a description of your overall score, how well you performed on the test. And then at the bottom, we have the actual scores broken down by the different areas on the test. And so PTE Academic has scores for both communicative skills and enabling skills. We give you a breakdown that is as detailed as exists, and I'll show you that in a little bit more detail in the next slide. One thing to keep in mind is this score report will be coming to you again online in your account. And when you want to send it off to the universities, you'll also be doing that online. It will be a good idea to check to make sure that the universities that you're looking to attend to will accept your score. Usually it's on their website, but if it's not, feel free to call them or email them and check. But they also receive all of the scores online, so there are no paper scores again. So to show the detail that you'll be getting, every time you take the test, we're going to give you feedback on 11 different points. Your overall English language ability, as well as your listening, reading, speaking, and writing skills, your overall communicative skills, and then your enabling skills. So grammar, oral fluency, pronunciation, spelling, vocabulary, and written discourse. Now, where this can be helpful is if you're taking the test, getting your results, and you're not sure why you got a result in a given area. So in this example, you're not sure why your speaking score is low. The enabling skills will allow you to quickly understand what areas of English you need to work on to improve your score. And that micro-targeting of your English language deficiencies or the areas that you could improve will help you to improve your English faster. Now, we couple the score report with plenty of free training materials that I mentioned earlier. Some of these are free, some of them are for a fee, but there's an online tutorial as well as an offline practice test that you can access. There's a free test-taking strategies and tips book, so you know what to expect when you go into the test. There's a test taker handbook, which is just the rules and regulations, the rules of the road once you get there. We do have an official guide to PTE Academic, and then there are also plenty of prep courses and training partners that we have around the world that would be happy to help you to prepare for the test. You can visit Facebook/PTE Academic if any of you are on Facebook, and we will provide tips every single day of ways that you can improve your PTE Academic experience. We're also coming out with an online scored practice test where if you have a Wi-Fi connection anywhere in the world, you'll be able to take a practice version of the test online and get a score back. It's going to be pretty neat stuff. That'll be available in the coming weeks. To find all of this information, you just go to www.pearsonpte.com/prepare, and you'll be able to find our free as well as our materials for purchase. So, what's on the actual test? What to expect? As I mentioned, it's a 3-hour test. You won't be any longer than 3 hours, and it's an integrated exam. And so each of the sections will have other, for example, if you're in the speaking and writing section, you'll be doing some speaking and some writing. It won't just be writing. But you start off, there's an introduction. The introduction just allows you to shake off your nerves. It asks you a question like, why do you want to study in the US? It's not scored. And then it moves on to the scored part. The speaking and writing portion is between 77 and 93 minutes, depending on your test. As I mentioned, all tests are different because they're randomized forms. Then you'll go on to the reading section, and then the listening section. There is a break. It's an optional break of 10 minutes that you're welcome to take if you're feeling like you need a break. Otherwise, you can power through it. But the whole test will only be 3 hours. It's not a test of computer skill or memory. This is a test of your English language ability. It's taken on a computer at a Pearson VUE Test Center, but it isn't testing how quickly you can type, for an example. And you will be allowed to make notes during the test. So let's take a look at some of the items on the test. So the speaking and writing portion. This is the first portion. This includes the personal introduction. You'll be asked to read aloud, to repeat a sentence, to describe an image, to retell a lecture, and to answer a short question. After that, you're going to be asked to summarize a written text, and then you're going to summarize a text or an essay, and then there's an essay. So I'm going to go through just a couple of these very quickly and give you some tips in case you have your test tomorrow. So let's look at the read aloud question first. There are 6 or 7 of these types of questions on the test. It's pretty straightforward. They're usually presented in a single block, and it's a long answer speaking item type. What it's doing is testing your ability to read a short text aloud using correct pronunciation and intonation. You'll see an instruction at the top of the screen, and then you'll have typically 40 seconds to read, and then it's going to probably be about 60 words in length. And so you've got 40 seconds to read 60 words, and then you've got to read it aloud. Now the tip here is that use the whole 30 or 40 seconds at the start to read through the text. Use the whole thing. And then break the text into smaller chunks using the pronunciation to guide you. So pretty straightforward. Break it up into smaller chunks and then use that pronunciation that you've worked on to guide how you speak about it, how you repeat it. So the repeat sentence, another one that's pretty straightforward. There's about 10 of these, 10 or 12 of these, and it tests your ability to understand and remember a sentence. You'll hear this sentence only once, and the recording will run between 3 and 9 seconds, and then you'll have 15 seconds to speak your answer. And you're going to be scored on your listening ability and your speaking ability. The tip here is you're scored on the correct sequence of words. So make sure you're paying attention to the order of the words, and then try to break the sentence down into smaller phrases so you have a better chance of accurately repeating what you hear. Again, pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at the reading section next. So the reading section tests your ability to understand authentic text from real academic sources, so real textbooks. The subjects will range from the humanities to the natural sciences. It could be really anything you'll find in an English-speaking classroom. And you can take notes using the erasable noteboard and pen, and use your notes to guide you while answering the questions. So that's helpful. And there's 32 to 41 minutes worth of this reading section. And I'll show you a couple of items in there. So the first one is a multiple choice question with multiple answers. So it's testing your ability to analyze, interpret, and evaluate a short reading text on an academic subject. The texts are typically 300 words in length, and you've got to read it, and then you're presented with 5 to 7 responses. The tip here is that, remember, more than one answer is correct. It's not just one. You're going to pick multiple of them. And then look for repeated words in the possible answers and find these in the text. And you will lose marks if you select incorrect answers. So make sure that you are just marking the ones that you think are correct. So reorder paragraph. This tests your ability to understand the organization and cohesion of an academic text. This is sort of a fun one. There are 4 or 5 text boxes on the left, and they're presented to you in random order with a blank section on the right. What you need to do is figure out what the correct order is and drag and drop those into the right section in the right order. So the tip here is to first find the topic sentence. Find the key words in each paragraph to understand the overall idea, and this will help you to find the logical order. Reread them once you have ordered them to make sure. So in the beginning, make sure you find that topic sentence, because the topic sentence will lead you through the rest of the question. The listening section. The listening section tests your ability to understand spoken English. So how well you can understand me now, for example, but in an academic environment. It also tests your ability to understand a variety of accents, both native and non-native, much like is found in an American university setting. So it could be a British accent, it could be an Australian accent, it could be an American accent, or it could be English as a second language. So a couple of items that we can look at here. Fill in the blanks. You may be familiar with this type of exercise from your preparation, which you surely have done to make sure that you are prepared for the test. Here, in the fill in the blanks, you're going to get a bunch of blanks, and it's going to test your ability to listen for the missing word in a recording and type the missing word into the transcription. So there's a recording will play, and then you're going to be looking at this these sentences, and then you're going to be plugging in where there's a blank with the word that was spoken. It's going to assess both your listening and your writing skills at once. So what will happen, there will be a countdown, an audio status box will count down from 7 seconds, and then the recording will play. And that's where you have to be on your heels to fill in the blanks. The recording lasts between 30 and 60 seconds, and it's only going to play once. So the tip here is skim read the text first. You have the opportunity to look at that text before the audio starts playing. Make sure you skim it. And then try to follow the text as it's read to make a note of the missing words on your noteboard as you're listening. Then fill in the blanks. So skim it, take notes on your noteboard, then fill in the blanks. And you should do very well on the fill in the blanks item. Highlight the correct summary. This tests your ability to comprehend, to analyze, and to combine information from a recording and identify the most accurate summary of the recording. You will hear a recording, and then you need to click on the paragraph that best relates to the recording. It's as simple as that. The recording will run for 60 to 90 seconds, and it will play only once. And you're going to be scored on your listening and your reading skills. So this one, again, the noteboard comes into play here. Use your noteboard. Note down any key ideas on your noteboard as you're listening, and then read the options that match the option that's closest in detail to your notes. And so the noteboard on these two items and on some other items comes into play as a very important tool to help you on your test. Make sure to take notes where you can. So that's the quick overview of the some of the items and some tips. Just to give you a little bit more perspective, no matter where you're looking to study in the U.S., there is likely institutions that will accept your score. Whatever state you're looking to study in, whatever type of university, the big flagship state universities or the Ivy League schools or a community college, there's lots of different options for you to send your PTE Academic score to view all of the institutions that accept PTE Academic scores. And remember, there's over 3,000 programs in total that will. You go to pearsonpte.com/whoaccepts, and there the full list is made available. Again, if you're not sure if a school is accepting, feel free to call them or email them and ask them if they will accept your score. But really great programs from coast to coast. And PTE Academic is the newest test, so a lot of universities are just beginning to accept the scores. So for example, New York University, in the heart of New York City, a very prestigious top academic school, they recently began accepting PTE Academic scores for all of their undergraduate applicants. Or Yale in the Ivy League, they've been recognizing scores for many years. So these are institutions that would welcome your PTE Academic score, and in fact, you would likely stand out, because they get many more scores from TOEFL as an example. If you send a PTE Academic score, you'll stick out in a positive way, I think. Probably positive. And students like the PTE Academic, not just because it's fast, not just because they can get a test within days and get their score back within days, but the test itself is fun. I don't know if I portrayed all the fun that's in this test, but it has its moments of fun because it was set up to be a technology-based test in an innovative way. And so students have given us great feedback. Not only just on how quickly they get the score back or the security, where they know that their score will be accepted, but they think it's a document that they can be proud of, and they've enjoyed the test items and would like to know if you take it, let us know your experience as well. And that's it. So I'm going to go on to questions. I'm going to give a little plug for our social media pages. If any of you are out there on social media, again, go to our Facebook/PTE Academic, and you can become a friend of ours, and we'll give you tips, and we have promotions and all kind of good stuff there. Same with Twitter /PearsonPTE. And YouTube, on our YouTube channel, we have lots of free tips and lots of things that could be of interest when you're studying. And it's YouTube/Pearson PTE. So I've got a question from Yusuf. Yusuf would like to know if there are any U.S. universities that grant scholarship for postgraduate studies based on PTE academic scores. That's a really good question, Yusuf. So currently there aren't any specific scholarships based solely on the PT academic score. The scholarships are based on an overall evaluation of the candidate, and PT academic is part of that evaluation. But at the moment, there aren't any postgraduate study scholarships that are granted specifically on the PT academic score. But they can support you in your efforts to get scholarship money that require an English language test. That answers your question. Let's see. Another question from Emil. How much does PTE academic cost in China? I can tell you that. In China, PTE academic costs $275 US. In India, as an example, it's 9,350 Indian rupees. Depending on where you are, PT academic will be priced in line with your other options. It'll most likely be very similar. Where if you're going to be applying to more than 4 universities or sending your score to more than 4, it's good to keep in mind that once you take PT academic, we're not going to charge you to send out your score report. You'll be able to send your score report out for a period of 2 years to as many institutions as you want for free. And so even though PT academic may seem like it's a little bit more expensive, it's in line, generally the same price or just a little bit more, and then it's a much better value if you're going to be sending your scores to multiple institutions. So another question just came in from Liz. Hello, Liz. I would like to know if this program gives international grants to foreign students. Peru. Peru is a great country. Liz and I would like to know if this program gives international grants to foreign students. So do we at Pearson PTE Academic have specific scholarships that we provide to students, to PT Academic test takers? I think that's the question. And if that is the question, is there any PTE academic scholarships? The short answer, Liz, is not right now. There isn't any specific PTE academic scholarships, but PT Academic can support you in your efforts with getting scholarships from the universities themselves, because you've gotten a good score and they like your general background, your academic credentials. But there isn't a PTE academic scholarship at the moment. There could be one that comes along in the future, but not at the moment. Okay. So is PTE Academic a more difficult test than TOEFL? That's a good question. I don't know if many of you are familiar with TOEFL. TOEFL is also a very good exam. They're different. So both tests are going to get at your ability to study in an English-speaking environment. The difference is PT Academic is a 3-hour test versus TOEFL, which is a 4-hour test. And so if shorter is easier, PT Academic is easier because it's shorter. But I think both tests they do a pretty good job of getting to your ability to study in a classroom, which is what you want, because if you're getting a test score and you're not actually prepared to study in the classroom, then that means you're going to struggle when you get there. And when you struggle when you get there, there are many instances of students that end up having to go home without completing their degree. So in terms of, is it a more difficult test, the key will be to prepare. If you're prepared for a TOEFL test, or you're prepared for your IELTS test or your PTE Academic test, you should be in good shape. I wouldn't say we're easier or harder. We are shorter, and you get your results back quicker. But all of the tests are going to do a good job of helping you to understand how prepared you are to study in an English-speaking environment. Okay. Let's see here. Any other ones? Ooh. So, a question from Los Angeles. Yes, we do. We do have test centers throughout the U.S. And so, test centers are global, and you can go to pearsonpte.com/testme to see all those test centers. But if you're in the United States and you need a test, if you're here already at an intensive English program, for example, and you need a test, we'll be able to find you a test. We actually do something called on-demand testing. So no matter what market you are in, if you're in Peru, or you're in Riyadh, or you're in Beijing, what we can do for you if you don't see a test available is we can oftentimes open up test dates for you. So if there isn't a test currently available, but you need a test, you need to make an admissions deadline, you need to just, you're ready. We can oftentimes get you that test within a week. And that's here in the US, and that's abroad. That answers the question. So a question from India. In terms of preparation, are there companies that they can go to find preparation? So when it comes to preparation, you can access a lot of the free materials on the website, pearsonpte.com/prepare, and then you'll find plenty of free stuff that can help you to get started. Then if you want additional support, and additional support is always helpful, guided support with the right teachers, also on the website you can find a list of our professional partners that have PTE Academic training courses. They range from big global companies like Kaplan International that has PTE Academic preparation that's available to you, to smaller local companies that do PTE Academic preparation in their own market. So there's a full list of all of the preparation options for you by country. So wherever you happen to be, you can just scroll down on the website, the /prepare website, and you'll see by country the providers in your area. Okay. Marianne, similar question, Marianne. So the best way, if I were preparing today, I'll answer that, Marianne. I'm not exactly sure where you're located, but if I were preparing today, I would, one, go to the website. I would access the free materials, because there are free materials on that website, test-taking strategies, tips, to familiarize yourself with the content. Because the content of the test, if you have no idea what you're walking into, then the test is going to seem a lot harder. That doesn't, whatever test you're taking, you need to know what you're facing. And all of the free materials on the website will ensure that you have access to that initial preparation and familiarity. I would then, I'd want to test myself. So that There are offline practice tests that allow you to know how well you're performing right now. Uh, Getting a sense of what you need to work on, I think, is a really important part of preparation. Because once you get some feedback as to where you are right now, then you can focus on improving those areas that need additional support. I touched on it a little bit earlier. We're going to be coming out within a matter of weeks an online scored practice test, which means you can be at home, take this scored practice test. It'll be relatively inexpensive. Take the scored practice test, which will be exactly like the real test, except it's a low stakes test in a non-secure environment, and get feedback as to where you currently stand. And that feedback is going to be on not only your communicative skills, your listening, reading, writing, and speaking, but all of those enabling skills. And once you get that feedback, you can really focus in on the areas that you need to work on in a way that you couldn't previous to being able to get so much feedback from a test. So one, access the free learning materials online. Two, if you can, pick up an official guide, because the official guide has all of this information plus more. The official guide is on Amazon. It's on the Pearson website, and it is the gold standard in terms of self-practice. So if you pick up an official guide, you'll get access to all of the learning materials, all of the strategies, all of the tips, as well as the full test, and a DVD that has additional information, CD that has additional information. Nastya, interested in university exchange and postgraduate education in medicine from Moscow. Hello from Moscow, Nastya. So interested in university exchange and postgraduate education in medicine. So that there are, even here at College Week Live, you'll find lots of universities that have postgraduate exchange. If you're doing one of those exchange, we're a test, and so we'd be happy to test your English as you engage in the exchange. But I think it probably would be best to contact one of the universities that has a graduate education in medicine. Yajera from Venezuela. I probably butchered your name. Sorry for that. I'd like to know if there are any opportunities to continue studying English. So the short answer to that is that there are lots and lots of opportunities everywhere to continue studying English. Yajera, can you expound on that a little bit? Do you mean continue studying English in Venezuela? Continue studying English in the United States? Continue studying English online through the free learning materials? If you go to pearsonpte.com/prepare, there's plenty of free materials to study for the test. If you want to go to find materials to study English, there are lots of great organizations that can help you do that, including Pearson. Pearson has plenty of free and paid for publishing materials. Lots of great programs in the US, and then also in Venezuela, there'll be opportunities. If you're not familiar with Education USA, they have an office in Venezuela, I believe. You can go to one of those offices, and they will have lots of insights, materials for you to figure out how to improve your English, and then they can aid you in figuring out how to get through navigate the process to study in the United States. So the short answer, if this is any help at all, is that yes, there's lots of opportunities to study English. It really just depends on how you want to go about doing that. Danielle said, please do you offer education and teaching? My link is very slow. I am from Ghana. My chances of getting admission there. So Daniel in Ghana with the slow link. I hope you're doing well over there. Do we offer education and teaching? We don't offer any actual classes, but you can apply to education and teaching classes using the Pearson Test of English. And I see your email, so I can shoot you a little bit more information on that afterwards. Any other questions? So how quickly? That's a good question. So a question from Italy. Hello, Italy. How quickly will you get your results? So if you've taken an English language test in the past, you may remember that it could take you 3 weeks to get them back. So Fabio, if you want a quicker test, that's PTE Academic. Once you schedule your test and you take it, and remember, it's only 3 hours to take the test, so you're scheduling it, getting in there, taking it at an approved test center. You can go back into your account, because we don't have any paper scores. You can go back into your account the next day, and there's a chance your test will be there. I can tell you within 5 days, your test almost definitely will be there. But once we grade it, we get it back to you very, very quickly through that account. So you could have your test within 24 hours, within 48 hours, but we say typically you're going to get it within 5 days. But oftentimes it's much sooner. Now, once you get your results back, so you've gone in, you quickly took your test, quickly got your results back, and you want to send them off to a university. Say you're applying to Harvard's MBA program, and you say, I want to send my scores to Harvard's MBA program. In your account, you'll see all of the programs that are listed that will accept your score. So say you wanted to send it to Harvard and Columbia and Yale and George Washington University. You can do that straight from your account, and you'll be able to make admissions deadlines last minute in some instances. Because it's so quick, you don't have to wait 3 weeks to schedule your test, 3 more weeks to get your results back, and then another week to get it off to the university. We can help you to get tested, get your score back, and off to a university very, very quickly, within 2 weeks, and that would be a long time for us. So good question. Let's see. Well, I'd like to say EU, I don't know if there's any possible study work at the same time, or just with the cost of the course. To study in EEUU, is there any possibility to study and work at the same time in order to support the cost of the course? That would depend. Study and work at the same time, that would depend on the situation, but the short answer, I think, is yes to that. But it'd be better to consult with the university. Archana, that's a great name, Archana. Archana, could you please tell me books, material for TOEFL exam? Yes, there are plenty of books and materials for the TOEFL exam that are out there. Some good ones. North Star is a good one. There's lots of good ones. We're the Pearson Test of English exam, so there's also really good materials for the Pearson Test of English, the PTE Academic exam. So Archana, if you weren't here in the beginning, you'll have 3 options for testing. You can take a TOEFL exam, an IELTS exam, or a Pearson Test of English exam, a PTE Academic exam. And if you want to look at materials for PTE Academic, you can go to pearsonpte.com/prepare, and there'll be lots of books and materials for you to study for your PTE Academic exam. Oh, can I type? I don't know if I can type. It's a good question. Let's see. Another question. Ahmed from Oman. Ahmed wants to know, do we have test centers in Oman? I believe we do, Ahmed. I'll tell you in 1 second. If you are in Oman, we have one in UAE, Abu Dhabi, and Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Dammam, Jeddah, Riyadh. Where is Oman? Oman, Muscat. We've got a test center in Muscat. Test price is $230. And remember, when you take that test, you get unlimited score reports for 2 years. So if you go to pearsonpte.com/testme, you'll find a test center in Muscat, Oman, and you can register for a test right now. So Archana, please tell me again, PTE. So Archana, if you need an English language test, and you likely do, if you're coming to study in the U.S., the U.K., or Australia, you have options. If you don't have to just take a TOEFL test. There are options. So you can take a TOEFL test. That's a good test. And you can take it, or you could take a Pearson test, PTE Academic, also a good test, and accepted widely throughout the US, Australia, and the UK. There's also an IELTS test that you can take. And so it really depends on your situation, what works best for you. But the PTE Academic test has some advantages. It's faster, you get results back faster. You get unlimited score reports, but all of the 3 tests to study in the USA, they're all good tests. So you can take a TOEFL test, a Pearson test of English, PTE, or an IELTS test. And so you're not limited to just one test to study in the United States. Okay. Any other questions? You all have been asking some very good questions, by the way. I can tell. There's a lot of folks that will do very well studying in the USA on this call, on this WebEx webinar. Though, I don't know if I've pronounced all your names correctly. So, if you do have questions that you are not thinking of now, but they may come to you later, the email that we have up on the screen there, pltsupport@pearson.com, is a really good resource. We're pretty responsive, and we'll be able to get back to you pretty quickly. But place to focus your efforts is pearsonpte.com/testme. And you'll find lots of free resources. Anyone else? Okay, I'll hang around for another minute or so. Oh, there we go. Cheng Lu. Hi, Cheng. Lu. Does Lakehead University, DePaul University, accept your test score? So DePaul University in Chicago, yes, they accept PT Academic test scores. Lakehead University, I would have to check Lakehead. Where you can go is Pearson PTE, who recognizes. Let me see. So I'm not sure about Lakehead, but I know DePaul does. Also, if you're looking in the Chicago area, the University of Chicago does. That's a great school right up the street from DePaul. Lakehead, I'm not sure. Laramie, LaSalle, Lawrence. Lakehead, we'll have to look into Lakehead, but DePaul is a yes, as is the University of Chicago. Of the main cities in the U.S., you could go to Dallas, the University of Texas, Dallas, or Dallas Baptist. You could come to Boston, Northeastern University, or Boston College, or BU. They all have programs that accept your score. If you're an MBA student, the score will be accepted by almost all of the top 50 schools. Otherwise, it makes sense to check with your school directly. Call them or email them and ask them if they'll accept the score. Sometimes they just haven't listed it, but they will. It is worth calling and emailing. All right. Any other questions? Any quiet people in the crowd? Efren, Jose, Jacobo, Perozzo, Carrillo. That's quite a name. Any questions? No? Well, again, my name is Puck Fernston. Thank you for joining us today to learn about PT Academic and how it can support your applications to American universities. I would encourage you to email us at pltsupport@pearson.com or visit us at pearsonpte.com/testme, Facebook at /PT Academic, Twitter /PearsonPTE, or YouTube /PearsonPTE. And then once you take the test, let us know how it went, because we think you'll really enjoy it. No more questions? I'll stick around for one more minute. And if you guys are curious at all, I'm here in Boston. Boston is a great place to come to school. Ooh. Dui. University student in Vietnam. My major is information technology. What type of English test should I do to continue or higher this major in the US or Australia? Good question. Do, as I butcher your name, sorry if I'm doing that. So if you're going to the US or Australia, good options are IELTS. IELTS is a good option for Australia. PTE Academic is accepted by all universities in Australia. It's also a visa test. So, as many of you might be aware, if you are going to study in Australia or the UK, you need to get a government-approved visa test. And there's only a short list of those. On that short list is Pearson Test of English, PTE Academic, the IELTS test, and the TOEFL test are all on the list of tests that can get you a visa to study in Australia. So if you're looking to study in Australia, Pearson is accepted by all universities. And in the US, it's accepted by most of the major universities. So it would really depend. The thing to do if you're coming to the US is just double check that the schools that that you want to attend will actually accept your score. And if they're not, feel free to email them and be like, hey, will you accept my score? Because most of them will say yes, or they should. But Australia, it's everybody. And in the US, it's over 1,600 programs. And of course, the TOEFL test is here in the US as well. So when you're thinking of testing, there are three main tests. If I'm saying your name right. There's the TOEFL test, there's the IELTS test, and then there's the Pearson test, the PTE Academic. And all of those tests will be good options. Though with the Pearson test, just when you're coming to the US, double check. Same with the IELTS test, double check that they'll accept your score. Okay. I hope that answered your question, Du, and good luck in your studies. Archana, living in Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Cleveland, Ohio, home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Archana, if you get a chance this summer, go out to Put-in-Bay. It's right off the coast of Cleveland there. It's a little island. Tell me how you can start your career here. So once you finish school, how do you start your career? It's a good question. I probably am not the best person to answer that question for you, Archana. You need a company to sponsor you. I know that. So depending on what your field is and what you're looking to study, you start working with your counselor on campus and trying to figure out what kind of options are available for your major. Okay, great questions, guys. We've got 2 more minutes. Lots of countries represented. Vietnam, Cleveland, Peru, and each of the countries, Oman, each of the countries questions have come from. We have PTE Academic test centers ready. They're there for you whenever you need a test. And after you take the test, I would be happy to hear from you. tltsupport@pearson.com. All right. What is the TOEFL requirement for admission to postgraduate at various Minnesota university? Shaukat, Islam, you've got the final question. You're going to have to check with each university. A typical score in Minnesota, I can tell you for TOEFL, is an 80, but sometimes it's lower than that. Sometimes it's higher than that. A typical PT Academic score, if you're going to be taking the PT Academic, would be a 53. Sometimes it's lower than that. Sometimes it's higher than that. But it makes sense to always check with the university on their web pages with their international admissions office as to what their minimum score requirement would be. All right, so I think that's it. But thank you all very much for attending today, and enjoy the rest of the International Day here at College Week Live.